Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today on our 12th webinar, our 12th NCAS Live webinar. We're lucky today to be joined by 4 of our amazing members. So really today is about you, it's not about me, but I'll be asking you lots and lots of questions, and hopefully you as the audience will be able to glean and learn a lot from everyone that we've got here today. So to start off with, we'll just do a little introduction from everybody. So Anne-Marie, do you want to start by telling us a little bit about you and your business?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Simpson. We own a little independent gin bar in Sutton Coldfield. We're big on gin, but we do all of the lovely alcoholic drinks that you might wish to partake on a good evening out. We've been open about 4 years now, and we've been doing a bit of online stuff through lockdown, helping out kind of in the community where we could. We opened up again on Thursday last week, so we've done 1 weekend of trading, and hopefully it can help with some maybe questions to people who haven't opened yet, and rather than reinventing the wheel, you can learn from some of the things that we've learned.
Perfect, thank you. And I'll move on to Lee actually, because Lee isn't far down the road from where you are. So we just learned that his wife likes going to your bar, which is cool. Lee, do you want to tell us a little bit about you?
So my name's Lee. I own a street food business called Baked in Brick. We started in about 2016, doing all the normal street foods, festivals, different events, and then 2 years ago we opened a restaurant in Birmingham, which is called Baked in Brick, and that's kind of like a pizzeria come street food restaurant. And yeah, up until lockdown, it was going really, really great. We're still currently closed. During lockdown, we're really focused on Sunday lunch, so we do an amazing Sunday lunch every Sunday at the restaurant, and that absolutely blew up. We're doing so many orders every week. Unfortunately, now with all the restaurants and things kind of getting back to normal, that has declined. So now we're kind of looking forward and seeing when and how and what we're going to do to reopen the restaurant.
Thank you, Lee. Let's move to Ruth now, please. Ruth, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do at Maize?
Yeah, so Maize is a gluten-free Colombian-inspired street food. Started about 6 years ago and kind of gone full circle from like a fixed site, then a lot of like street food pop-up. I basically tried everything, catering, and kind of settled on little units. So now we're based in Camden, which is actually where we started, and also in Hackney Wick. Camden, we had to close and we're still kind of not able to open until hopefully next week, maybe. So we're refurbing and making use of the time, basically. And then the Hackney site was in a brewery. So luckily we had quite a lot of space because they were closed. So we kind of set up an online shop for groceries and opened for takeaway and delivery, and tried to, when all the shops were closed and there was a lot of stuff that wasn't available, sort of tried to have that on the grocery list on our online shopping. So you go to Uber and order some like tomatoes and avocados and toilet paper and stuff. Luckily, all the shops reopened, so it's less of a focus now, but that's kind of how we got through it at the time. But yeah, now that the pubs have reopened, things are looking up for us, which is good. And I'm really looking forward to just getting Camden open and just easing back into just normal life, basically.
Thank you, Ruth. And James, you're in your venue, aren't you? So I thought maybe you could take us on a little tour. Why you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm James. I own a company called Waffle along with my best friend. We started about 16 months ago now. And we started in a food truck. We basically are trying to change people's perception of waffles from being a savoury kind of childish kind of snack option to being a sophisticated savoury grab and go option. So we have everything is gluten free, and all of the waffles are stuffed during cooking. So they have like fillings or pockets of hot molten pesto, mozzarella, and things like that. We traded exclusively from a food truck until COVID struck, and then actually, weirdly enough, where obviously COVID was really tough for us, we've had loads and loads of events cancelled, but we did get in touch with a venue called The Prince, which is in West Brompton, which is where I'm sitting now. So it's an amazing street food kind of pub unit, big space that has 4 street food units attached to it. One of those units is free, so we got in talks with the pub. So I'm in the pub at the moment, which is this amazing space. It's an 800-person venue. and then it's got 4 street food units attached, places like Patty and Bun. And we came up with we did a tasting for the prints, and they liked the food. So now this is our brand new Utter Waffle bricks and mortar unit. So I'll take you through. So this is our kitchen. Jackie, my supervisor. Lots of stuff down in here. And it's an amazing space because it also has a shop front. So we also have the ability to service people from the street as well and deliver.
It's awesome.
Oh, his internet's gone a bit down. It'll come back in a second. That was really nice to see the venue, actually, because we're all at home at the moment. And although I know that the 3 of you haven't been, I'm sure you've been extremely busy and haven't been at home very much at all. Hi, James, you're back.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries at all. I was just saying that it was really nice to actually see you in your venue, because most of us have been at home for a very long time. And I know that Ruth, Lee, Anne-Marie and James, obviously you've been really busy and you probably haven't spent that much time at home because you've been working crazy hours still. And it hasn't been a holiday in any respect. But thank you for showing us. It was really nice to see your new place, and I hope it goes really well. I think I want to start with the hard bit of this, which is, over the last few months, I think everyone's probably felt every emotion under the sun. From despair to kind of, finding those little chinks of hope in what's happening, to, getting ready to get started on things, and just exhausting yourselves with trying to come up with new ways to pivot your businesses. But, I think that our sector is full of creative, inventive entrepreneurs, and people don't give up. But it would be interesting, first of all, just to hear about the most challenging bit of when lockdown started. How did you feel? What was your initial reaction to that? Ruth, do you want to start?
Yeah. So on the 20th of March, as soon as the word came through, I closed both sites. So I think, like other people, sort of spent a few days closing, but I was like, oh my God, this is going to be really bad, especially because, I'd been watching what's happening with Italy and with Spain, and some of my friends were out there and they were telling me, it's really scary stuff. So I closed the whole thing. And then my initial plan was to just stay closed. But after about a week, and I was talking to other traders and I spoke to NCAS as well, and just called people and just asked what was going on and what they were doing, and just kind of built a picture of less panic, basically. And so after about a week, I kind of calmed down a little bit, and I was like, there are definitely things I can do, and especially with the space and tank. Yeah, we couldn't open Camden, but with the brewery, we had space and we had an opportunity. And so myself and my marketing managers just focused on trying to get the grocery thing sorted. Initially, we had loads of grand ideas. We wanted to do hampers and all sorts of things, but obviously there was very limited resources, and most of my staff were on furlough, and understandably at the beginning were unsure whether they were comfortable to even work and to work together. And so there were all those challenges at the start. So it was just me, and eventually one of my managers came back, and then we just kind of eased back in. So I think, so we were closed for about 3 weeks, just getting all that set up. And then it was tough at the beginning because there wasn't any sales. We didn't quite know what we were doing. It was all quite clunky. It felt like, and I joke a lot to my staff, like it felt like we were just starting from the beginning, like when we were out on the street food scene, and you're just kind of throwing it together and changing your mind the whole time. So that was exciting, actually, and it felt like, starting from scratch and having all that flexibility, that you're making decisions kind of literally on a daily basis of how you're running the business. That was quite fun, but equally it was terrifying because you don't know if you're going to, be able to pay all the bills, and you're not sure you're going to be able to pay the staff, and obviously the first salary that goes is mine. So then it's like, can I pay the rent and all of that? So it was stressful, and the first month and a half was really stressful. But then we kind of got in a groove, and we were covering costs and covering everything, and then we kind of understood what we were doing a bit more, and so it got easier. But the first month and a half, I'd say, was very, very stressful.
That's fantastic that you were able to find a way through, and there has been so many amazing stories of people pivoting what they were doing. I know people sometimes don't like that word, but changing up what you're doing and trying another business model, and I think the most important thing was the fact that people didn't give up at all. I've spoken to Lee in the past about what he's been doing throughout the COVID crisis, and you got involved with Meals for the NHS, didn't you, Lee?
Yeah. We started doing Meals for the NHS through a few different third parties, and then, to be fair, we started doing it ourselves. So into lockdown, I can go into the proper story in a minute, but we set up sort of like a buy it back sort of thing on our website, where if somebody purchased any food or something from us, they could donate a meal to the NHS. And then what we would do as a business, we would triple that. So for every one meal that somebody donated, we then added 2 extra meals. So then every week we'd kind of pick a different hospital, but also care homes as well. We weren't just focusing on just NHS sites. There's a few care homes in Sutton, just up the road from where Simpsons wine bar is, gin bar. And we were choosing those as well. And it's really nice because we kind of got to know quite a few of the nurses and the carers. And it was nice, just sort of getting out there and, donating food that we had produced, that public had bought, and just sort of helping out wherever we could. I think we're quite lucky when we're in a food business that we're in a sort of a position where in times like this, we can help out. It doesn't really cost us much money because at the time, obviously, we're all suffering with a loss of income. But for what we could give, made a lot of difference.
That's great, Lee. And I know that you've also carried on working with, was it Warwickshire Council?
Yes, that came through NCAS actually. So Mark called me up, and Warwickshire Council were looking for, first of all, somebody to supply ready meals to like the vulnerable and the shielded for about £3 per meal. So I come up with a real simple menu of meals that kind of focused on all the main halal meals, gluten-free meals, lactose-free meals.
Heart-encompassing.
Yeah, so we did like chicken hot pot, we did chicken tikka masala, we did some lovely soups. And then that sort of then went on to, we ended up then, and I've still been doing it this week, we pack fruit and veg boxes. So we started doing about 1,200 a week. And that's been going now for about the last 10 or 12 weeks. I think this week we only did about 80 because obviously a lot of people are going out now. So again, it's just kind of, street fooders, we're kind of hustlers in a way. And, we turn up to events, we've got to change really quickly and, change our menu. Things always happen that we have to react to. And I think, we can all sort of put our hands on our hearts and say we have to react to these situations, and we've been doing anything we can to make money. But it's been really nice as well. Warwickshire Council have been great. We're working really closely with the Army, with the logistics side of the Army, who was sort of facilitating everything. It's been good. It's been nice.
Thank you, Lee. James, did you find that did you involve yourself in those projects as well? What was your initial reaction, and how did you cope with it in the beginning?
So I think I share Ruth's kind of initial reaction of just sheer panic. Like we at this point were predominantly a food truck. We had a summer full of events, like a calendar full of events, which every single one just got cancelled one by one by one. And as more and more of those got cancelled, when that kind of panic really started to set in, where I think at the beginning we all kind of thought this was something that would just pass and wasn't a real crisis. And then as that started, the realization started to hit. We very quickly knew that the way that we tried to put a positive spin on the whole situation was that our customer base is very, very, very much still there. They're just in a different place. So they're just at home. And I think that every time I've spoken to anyone about it, or anyone has kind of spoken to me and about, what do you think we should do? That's the way that I've always pitched it as a positive spin, is your customer base is still there. They're just at home. They're not in the office. They're not in street food markets. So just access them, do whatever you can to access them. So we immediately knew we wanted to run Deliveroo, which obviously lots of people did. We launched DIY kits with our waffles, so kind of kits where you get 2 freshly cooked waffles plus all the toppings to make any of our desserts, with an instruction manual. As I mentioned, we specialise in savoury waffles, so we have a range of condiments that we use in-house, and we then started packaging those up and doing condiment sets. We did take food to the NHS, not to the extent that Lee did, which is an amazing thing. Like I'm I'm like in awe of people that managed to kind of put all of that sort of thing together so quickly. But we did ring to our local hospitals as much as we possibly could, and we also donated a percentage of the profits from our condiment set straight to the NHS as well. So that was kind of our hook with that. But yeah, I mean, delivery was tough. You know, we were some days doing 30, 40 quid, you know, which once you take your deliveries, rather extortionate fee, if you don't mind me saying, off of that. You know, we were really running at a loss for lots of days on delivery, and we did it. Me and Julia, my business partner, worked at one. I think we worked like 94 days in a row on delivery without any days off, because it was just about kind of getting any form of income that we could at that point. As Ruth said, yours is the first salary to hit, to take the hit. So we just wanted to try and combat that if we could. But you know, we've been really lucky. We've managed to get through it like these guys have. And have adapted as much as we can, and it's opened new revenue streams. As Ruth said, like, you know, she's not going to, you know, that online stuff is still going to sit there, and it's opened a new revenue stream. And I don't know if the other guys agree with that, but it's pushed us to create things that we probably never would have thought about before. And so hopefully our businesses are coming out the other side, potentially in a better position maybe than they would have been with more opportunities.
Thank you, James. And Marie, your situation was slightly different, because although you've done events and you must have had things lined up for the summer as well, which is a whole other kettle of fish, the festival and events industry. And that's horrendous, but it will come back next year. Don't you worry. You've got a bar, you've got a fixed site premises. So what happened when you had to close?
Well, much like Ruth said, my first concern really was that, you know, everyone was safe. So we had a couple of staff who were kind of thinking that they were demonstrating symptoms of the virus. So we closed before the notification came out, because I was more concerned for their health and well-being and people coming into the bar and all the transmission thing. So we closed quite quickly. But the biggest issue with us, I guess, you know, this is the difference between being physical and being a street trader, was we didn't get any slack at all put by the landlord. So literally within 5 days, we were getting slapped with, you know, right, you need to pay your next quarter rent now, and there's going to be this happening, there's going to be that happening, and it was just awful. So we had a week of quite a stressful time where we were working out what that meant. And basically that took me to go and do a lot of digging and contact a few people that I know, to the landlord to be told in non-certain terms that he couldn't actually do that. You know, and he was talking about business winding up orders and all this nonsense, which, you know, it's just ridiculous. And there has been quite a lot of people who've contacted me since they knew what we've gone through to get, you know, what did you do? What did you quote? How did it not happen? And my landlord's saying the same. So I think it's tough for everyone. And once the business grants came through for the physical entities, you could obviously share some of that pain, and the landlords then got paid. But it was, you know, it's that immediate shock where everybody was just stacking up. All your creditors were just going, we want to get paid now. And in my naivety, I think I thought, there's going to be a bit of a spirit of we're all in it together, so let's kind of work together on it. And that wasn't necessarily the case. I think a lot of people had that experience. So that was the first thing. And then we probably took about a couple of weeks to take stock, thinking, this might just be a couple of weeks period. But when it became clear that it was going to go on for quite a bit longer, it was then that we started to think about, right, okay, what are we going to do about the business when you've got a physical business and you can't open? What else can you do? We actually flipped to an online offer, so we're now doing, and Touchwood, this is doing well, and we're really still pushing on this now. We're still holding. We're very big on doing gin tasting events in the bar. So we could get one staff at a time to come in, and we're doing online gin tastings through Zoom calls, and we're sending out, much like James said, the kind of kit. So you get all of your gin tasting bits and pieces, the tonics, the gins, the garnish, everything goes out, nibbles, we get some freebies in there. So we did that, and that has really gone well for us. So we're really pushing on that, and that's been great. You know, you wouldn't have ordinarily thought of taking a physical bar online. You would think, that's not really going to work, but it's worked really well. So the vouchers, we still will do gin tastings in the bar, but we've got people joining online, and that's created its own community, and you've got people kind of linking up, and because they're all gin fans, they all kind of want to talk to each other. So that's been really good. the community bit, I mean, like you say, what Lee's done is amazing, and that's fantastic that you've been able to really get those things out. I did have moments where I was kind of saying, "Shall we take some gin up to Good Hope Hospital?" My husband kept saying, "I don't know." But we got involved with the Children's Hospital. My son's sings, and he did a bit of an online concert, and we'll raise quite a bit of money through that for Birmingham Children's Hospital. But I think it's been good, hasn't it, seeing people pull together. So for me, the best bit out of it is A, the innovation, and B, where you've got people really kind of saying, "Oh, just let's work together and let's see what we can do." And I think that's been a real change in society, and I genuinely hope that continues.
I think we can all be in total agreement about that. I think that the community has pulled together, and what's fantastic is that people have been working together to try and help each other. Lots of businesses have decided to advertise with each other and to put bolt-ons on, and I'm sure that you've got a really good community of similar business owners who you talk to a lot, and you've been able to help each other out, which is fantastic and which has kept people going, really. I think one more question I wanted to ask you before we move on to the impending doom of the 4th of July that was on everyone's head, and the government sending out the guidance just shortly beforehand. Obviously, you were all doing your own thing before that, but I wanted to ask you about your customers and how they've supported you, and whether you've found that your customer base has grown. Have you noticed that people have been staunchly loyal to you throughout this? Have they gone out of their way to help, and have they gone out of their way to buy from you? James, have you had any kind of positive experiences with your customers?
Yeah, I've got a couple of there's a couple of things that have made me really smile throughout this whole time. One of which is, so we moved to this new venue to run Deliveroo about halfway through COVID. And we built such a fast customer base here because we never closed. We stayed open for takeaway coffees and for Deliveroo and takeaway and things like that. So it was a really quick way to build a very, very immediate customer base and quite a loyal following because nowhere else was open. So suddenly we had all these people being like, "Cool, you're new, and I don't have a choice whether to try your food or not. Savoury waffles sound a bit weird, but it's the only choice I've got. So let's see what happens." It's a really fast track way of, my product is quite a hard sale to sell, a savoury good. That's kind of notoriously sweet. So that was quite an interesting one, and we've built a really loyal customer base from there. And then the other thing that's happened, so we spent a lot of our time plowing energy into social media. So we've gone from like 1,500 followers to 6,500 followers in the last 3 months.
It's amazing.
Just as a result of running competitions, reaching out to people, partnering with bloggers, sending DIY kits to bloggers, things like that. So it just kind of shows how, if you put time and energy into a different, kind of a different area of your life, a different area of your business, you see the effect of it growing, and so that's been amazing. And also the customers I had before have been incredible and ordered all our kits online and things like that, which is super cute, really nice.
Yeah, fantastic. Has anything particularly jumped out at you, Ruth, has I don't know, really inspired you when you've been feeling a bit rubbish about everything and has put a smile on your face? Maybe it was a customer or some feedback you got or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was that's all right. I think the locals in Hackney, because we were like the only place that was open in the whole area, like in that little next to Hackney Vic station. So a lot of people were still going for their daily exercise, and we were like the only stop off for a long time. So it meant that we were also selling the beer for the brewery because they couldn't open themselves. So we were doing takeaways for that. The whole kind of posting community.
Were you doing something with posters and QR codes or?
Oh yeah, we're doing that now. It's just along the canal. Oh, yeah. We just put posters up along the canal so people could find us. Because everyone was just going out for their daily exercise, but some people were going really far for their daily exercise and stopping in, which was nice because then we were just getting to know the locals. And before, when the bar was open, obviously they were going to the bar and not dealing directly with us. So it was nice to finally have a bit of like face-to-face contact with the locals and get to know them. And now they're kind of still popping in and stuff. And I think that definitely made a big difference to our presence there. That will kind of like pay dividends in the future generally.
Yeah.
And then just the customer base that we previously had, like I had emails asking for deliveries of areas that were out of our delivery zone for like stock and things like the arena pan and things like that. And that was really cool. And sometimes I couldn't do it because it was too far away and Parcel to Go wasn't working, and they would just send the money anyway as a donation. Little things like that. That was like, this is really cool that people care and have like been watching and like want us to succeed. So yeah, that was super encouraging. It was really nice.
That's great to hear. I think, Lee, you must have come across and had lots of interactions with lots of people who you might not ordinarily have every day on street food, in street food markets and events, and at your restaurant as well. Was anything particularly inspiring to you? I can imagine that you met quite a lot of amazing people working with the council and the army and everything.
Yeah, I mean, doing the bits for the NHS and the army, we got to meet loads of different, just all the nurses and the doctors, and you kind of get a little bit of a chance to have a quick chat with them about what it's like inside and what they've been doing. And some of them were so upbeat, like it was just like another day at work to them. But obviously we're getting fed with all this information from the news.
Yeah.
And, some of them did say it was really, really difficult, but most of them were just, they were just thrilled. Like they were so thrilled that we were bringing them food, like we were doing them a favor. And for us, for the rest of the UK, it's like, no, you're doing us a favor. So I think in that respect, it was just like any day at work for them, which was really, really nice.
That's wonderful. Do you think that your customer base, do you think generally, would you agree that your customers have been really loyal to you, and that your customer base might have grown as a result of all of the additional work that you've done?
Yeah, so like many restaurants and traders, we first obviously started just doing gift vouchers for people to buy, and then gift on and sort of help us keep us going. One guy bought £250 in gift vouchers.
Wow.
Just because he says, I really like coming to your restaurant, and I'll know I'll use these vouchers over the coming 12 months or whatever. So I might as well just spend the money now so you can have
That's
it.
So kind.
Yeah, it's those sorts of things that really take us back. But then with regards to our customer base increasing, lots of people were buying food for their parents, their grandparents, aunties and uncles who couldn't get out. So all of a sudden, we're having face-to-face contact at people's houses, at the door, with people that have never even heard of us before. They just saw us as delivering them a Sunday lunch. And then they've kind of then Googled us and sent us emails. And I've got one lady called Brenda who's ordered a Sunday lunch off me every single week since lockdown. And last week she was going to her family's house, so she sent me an email to tell me, she says, Lee, I'm really sorry, but it's the first time I'm going to be out of the house this week. I feel really bad because I'm not going to be able to order a Sunday lunch from you because I'm going to my son's or my brother's for food. And she generally was apologising for not ordering from me, which is crazy. It's crazy.
Bring it to my eye, Lee.
Pardon?
She nearly brought a tear to my eye.
Oh. But you know what? It's been, there's been loads of hard times. Our delivery has dropped massively now because we were obviously hugely pushing Sunday lunch and roast dinners. But it's one of those things that people couldn't get it, and we were the only people in Birmingham supplying it. So we were really busy. But now everybody can go to the shops. And I think cooking a Sunday lunch for your family is a real intimate thing that people enjoy doing. So, we've done well out of it. We've had a good run, and now we're kind of looking at what's next. When's the restaurant going to open? What else we can do to kind of fill up our time between now and the season starts next year? Just because, like James and Ruth and Anne, we've lost all our work for this year: weddings, festivals, birthdays, street food events. So it's, it is now just kind of work out what we're going to do.
It's really interesting hearing you talk about like how sweet certain customers have been and how they've supported so much. But we as I said, all of our kitchen is gluten free, and we use a very, very specific gluten free flour blend that was out of stock everywhere when we first launched on Deliveroo. And we thought we were going to have to just stop serving because that's such a specific part of what we do. and we put something on social media saying how we were struggling to find it, and we started having like bags turn up in the post, and with little notes. We'd have people like taking pictures of the inside of their cupboards, being like, "I've got half a bag here. Can I send it?" And we'd be like, "That would be really sweet, but I don't think EHO would approve of traveling to Leicester in the post." So many people just like, I went to my local Tesco and said, "I've got 2. I'm going to come down to see people that I've never spoken to, or never, other than serving, and I've never had a relationship with otherwise." And I just can't believe how much we were like overwhelmed. Like I'm sure you were, Lee, with like a response like that.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that's so nice to hear.
It is, and I think what's really important is whatever happens, sort of going forward, that like I won't forget it, and I think it's kind of brought us all a little bit closer together with other fellow traders and customers, and it's just a bit more of appreciation about what we do and even the work that we have as well. We need to just be more appreciative.
Thank you, Lee. I think that's
within the team
very
as
true.
well.
Very cool.
I think within my team as well, because there was the Camden team and there was the Hackney team, and it was separate, and now it's all mixed, and everyone was just coming up with ideas, and everything was kind of as a group, which we didn't have before. Like, and I think I'd keep that definitely moving forward, as I'm going to keep everyone all mixed together from now on, because you get more ideas and it's just more fun as well.
I think one of the things that we found is that obviously business is competition in business, but what we found within the physical bars and people that are working together in the town centre, that people have across all of the kind of bars and restaurants, people have kept speaking to each other, and there's been more of a collaborative approach, because you are, as you say, Ruth, everyone's in it together really, and that's worked really well, even going for us into opening. We're part of a pub watch group, and all the pubs have been different, so we were very clear at the outset. We've been very particular about we took off the seats out, we're very COVID secure. That was always going to be our USP. We were an all-seated kind of table service venue anyway, so it wasn't a massive change, but we'll have less seats to maintain the distancing. But we've gone down the route of complete bookings and deposits. Now, I know there was quite a lot of chat early in the week about restaurants that had opened up saying, "Oh, we'll be absolutely slammed. We've had 40% not turning up." And I was worried about putting the deposit thing in place. I've got to say, I felt it was the right thing to do, but I wasn't really sure what response we were going to get. And I've got to say, customers have been really good. We've had a couple of no-shows, but nobody's balked that their deposit's gone. We've put a very clear 48-hour policy in place. And the customers that have come in have said, "We can see what you guys have had to go through for 3 or 4 months, no trade, and whatever grants you've gone have gone to the landlords." And people are really understanding. And I think it's almost given me more confidence to say, actually, as an industry, we should be asking about this, because there's not many industries where you would book something and expect not to pay. And we're sat there going, are they going to turn up? Or they're not going to turn up? And I think that's, to have a bit more confidence to do that is progressive.
Absolutely, which brings us very nicely on to reopening. Well, the government guidance came out, and we had at NCAS handing that in, that we were part of the task force to try and reopen the hospitality industry. Obviously, the government guidance wasn't prescriptive and didn't tell you exactly what to do. However, was common sense, and it was going through the cleaning, compliance, social distancing, and ensuring that you're communicating properly with your customers about what you're doing, and just that you have to bear in mind all the time that you're keeping your staff and your customers safe, and all of the decisions that you make are around that. How have you how have you found the new guidance, and what have you done practically? Because I think that we've probably got lots of members listening in who haven't decided whether they can reopen yet, or they don't know how to do it, and would probably really value some advice and experience from you. James, you're open now, aren't you?
Yes.
So what did you do differently to what you would have done if it wasn't COVID safe and we hadn't had this huge crisis?
So we almost see the COVID measurements and the measurements that we need to take almost as like a twofold plan. One is about what we need to do to make the customer safe, And one is what we need to do to make the customer feel safe, which is even further than the first one. So we, as with most people, so we use a product D10, one of the kind of the industry standard sanitizers. It's got a 1 minute contact time on surfaces. We make sure that we're sanitizing all of our customer facing surfaces and all of our surfaces every single time a customer comes and leaves. So at every exchange of customer. We do take a bit of a hit for that, because it means that we're having a kind of an extra member of staff to pretty much concentrate just on that side of things. Disposable menus is a big one, and that's to do with keeping the customer safe. One of the things that we do to make the customer feel safe, it still keeps the customer safe, but it's largely to do with making the customer feel safe. We have a timer, just a kitchen timer on our kitchen, an open kitchen. It's set for 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes, everyone washes their hands. The timer goes off, we go and wash our hands. And the customer sees us stop what we're doing, put our knives down, go and wash our hands. And that's about prioritizing, A, keeping the customer safe, but B, and largely with that one, making the customer feel safe. It gives them an element of confidence in what we're doing. The one that I've said to all of my teams, it's a very new team. I never had staff. Me and my best friend run this business. We never had staff until a week and a half ago. But the one thing that I say to them is, if you wouldn't be comfortable with your grandparents eating here, then I'm not happy. And you've got to I'm putting myself constantly in positions where I go, my grandparents, who I love so very much, 130 years old or whatever, would I be comfortable with them walking in here and doing the things that we're asking our customers to do? And if you can say yes, then I think you're onto a winner.
Thank you, James. Would you just want to move on to you, Anne-Marie, because you're open as well, aren't you now? Yeah. What was your planning process? How did you decide on how many seats you were going to have? How did you decide on where you're going to put people, who was going to be working, all of that?
Well, we're quite a small bar, so there's kind of challenges and opportunities in that. So the challenges were working out where the staff would be, because if we had put 2 people behind the bar, we wouldn't have been able to meet, any kind of social distancing measure at all, really. So we just work the rotas where one person works the bar, and then we'll have 1 or 2 working the floor, depending on how many people we've got coming in. And one person working the floor is kind of, very responsible for making sure, just as you say, James, around implementing those procedures on cleaning, on toilet cleaning, on hand washing, reminding people, to use the sanitizer, and making sure that the tables are wiped after every time everything's being touched. And then we'll have one person kind of helping people take the orders, because we were going to go down the route of an app, which I am still going to do, but the app that we originally had taken up, the guy didn't get his app approved, so we had a bit of a delay. So that was a bit of a challenge, because we were going down one set of operational procedures, and then we had to change tack halfway through, but we just put all of the menus online, and we were already doing kind of booking through a handheld which links up to the till behind the bar. So I had that bit, but we just put the menu online so people could literally sit at their table, look at the menu. If they needed a bit of advice from the staff, they could obviously then get it, and then the order went through. So that's worked reasonably well. And, we will change, we'll go to the app, but actually I think we're okay in terms of how we're working it now. People seem keen. One of the big things that we did, and it was a bit of again, I was apprehensive about doing it, we bought quite a big range of new stock, so that when people did come in, I could demonstrate that we'd invested and we'd got some really good new exciting gins, some new cocktails, we've got a huge new range of wine. And I wanted people to come in and feel that, we'd literally, and we had completely decontaminated. We've got a 5-day cleaning process where literally every bit of fabric, everything in the whole business had been completely decontaminated and cleaned. And then we took out the furniture. In terms of where we're going to place people, we were going for the 1.5 metre as a minimum. So in a couple of places, we've got a couple of booth areas. They're probably further apart, but everybody's at least 1.5 meters, so we've got no seats around the bar. I don't know if Lee has probably been in and seen this. We often have people sitting around the bar chatting to the bar staff. Well, that went away, so we could maintain distancing for staff and for customers. So we're probably at about 60% capacity, but I'm just about to put some marquees with fairy lights and things like that in the back, so that we've got a bit of a weatherproof outside and the personal marquee, so you'll get up to 6 people in there. But it is really around being bold I mean, I might yet, get to read the day when I put more money into something, but that was the decision we take: keep them safe, and give them new things to come in to be excited about. After this weekend, we've only been open one weekend, but touch wood, it's gone really, really well. People have responded well. They've all adhered to the guidance. The staff have fed back, and they've been feeling really good and confident about it. And we've had, like I said, 2 tables maybe not turned up. And we didn't want a queue, because what we were getting very much through from the police was, if you have a queue, you manage the queue. And I thought, we just do not have the resources to be able to do that. That's why I went to bookings. But actually, if we're quiet and we've got a table and somebody comes by and they say, have you got something, then obviously absolutely love to seat them and they can come in. But we don't allow people to kind of wait outside, because I don't think that would work. And where we are in Sutton Coldfield, there has been some pubs that have had some problems. You always get it, don't you? People who bring along their own alcohol, and they're stood in the queue drinking their own thing, waiting to come in, and then they're not right by the time they get in there, let alone when they start drinking. And we just can't stand that. We're not a big enough bar. Even with full capacity, we're 50 seats inside and about 25 outside, so we just weren't big enough to do it. So again, I think we've got a plan. You've got to take your decisions. You touched about the government guidance. It was just really weak, I felt. I thought it could have been a little bit more directives. You have to just adopt a common sense approach.
I think that, many people have wanted them to be more prescriptive. Playing devil's advocate, there's so many different types of setup of business. It's really difficult, isn't it? So I guess that's why organisations like us are here, to try and guide you through that in the best possible way, and so have someone to talk to about it, and also have a community of people who are in the same boat as you, so that you're able to bounce ideas off each other as well. And I think that that's so important, that you're able to talk to other business owners about how they're responding to this. Because someone might have an amazing idea. Like I'd never heard of anyone doing what James has done to about the 20-minute washing your hands in that space, because it's so obvious, isn't it, that people can see that you're adhering to it, and it kind of puts them into a very, it's a sense of security for them. And I imagine that Anne-Marie and James, your customers, have really welcomed the measures that you've put in place for them, because you're keeping them safe while being able to run your own business still. It's extremely important. But I think maybe Ruth, because you've got a spot in 2 different places, one of them isn't open yet, but how are you dealing with like queues and stuff like that there?
So we're a kitchen inside a brewery, which is also a tank bar. We've worked really closely with the operations manager that was dealing with all the reopening, and working through kind of step by step how we're going to structure it. So I wasn't massively involved in the layout of the pub, because originally we just had, so we basically blocked off an entrance, which was about a metre and a half away from our little tiny table where we had a till. And then we could, customers could choose basically whether they wanted to come in, do the takeaway, or if they wanted to be extra safe, they could do click and collect from our website, and then we would just take it out to them to collection point. So that was really easy to keep everything very separate. So obviously the pub reopening meant initially we kept that distance, actually increased the distance to the kitchen, and just created like a channel straight to the bar, but not right up to the bar, a table kind of about 2 meters away from the bar. And then we'd stuck menus for the bar and for us kind of along this channel, and then people would exit on the other side. But yeah, since the pub has reopened, we've done the QR code thing so that we don't have the single-use menus anymore. And also, actually, it's also quite good because it gives us a bit of flexibility, which has been a kind of plus side to it. So yeah, we just kind of worked through point by point, did the risk assessments together, and just worked as 2 businesses together. And one thing that I found really good about the whole process is it's actually kind of made me think about how I was managing things before, and maybe like what you mentioned about the timer and stuff. I've been thinking about maybe turning things a bit more electronic, like all of our checks and things we could just put on our iPad. So I'm now sort of thinking what, like, you know, you can go above and beyond and make this even more efficient. And it's a bit of a wake up call to how to get things running even smoother. So it's in a way been quite positive.
That's brilliant, and I think that will be music to the ears of enforcement officers up and down the country. And EHOs, you know, are there to support you. They're there to support you and help you do things in the right way. And I think that, Lee, you've done a multitude of things. You've done click and collect, haven't you? You've done delivery. You've got your restaurant. You've got your street food stuff that you're doing. What are your plans for Baked in Brick, the bricks and mortar?
So we're hopefully opening in August. Hopefully August the 6th. This week we start, first of all, kind of a bit of a deep clean. So we're going in tomorrow. We're deep cleaning the kitchen first, and we're going into the main areas of the actual restaurant, giving everything a real proper deep clean before the bulk of my staff will start. Once all that's done, we'll have staff in for retraining. Obviously, we're going to have to look at screens, see what the government guidelines are in a few weeks. As we know, the government changes their mind quite a lot, frequently. So I don't want to go and spend thousands of pounds on screens at this stage now. Potentially in a week, something might have changed.
We have M&B spent how many £1 million on PPE and screens and stuff.
Really?
I know they're a huge chain and spend, but if you think about it, though, it's a massive expense to your business when you're trying to build it back up again. So exactly, it's about reasonable. It's about doing things in a reasonable way, in a safe way, but not over the top
and
clinical.
Relevant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think then the next stage will be is getting all the staff back in. We're going to have a good week of training. You know, we've been open for about 18 months now, and there's always so many things along those 18 months that I've wanted to do, that I've wanted to change. So I met with my manager last week just for a coffee, just to sort of talk through all the things that we've spoken about, that we've wanted to do. We've never had a chance to do it because we're always working. So I said, right, let's take this time now to really implement all those changes and just sort of like come back fresh and different and, you know, more productive, more cost effective. But I think the main thing is to make my staff feel safe coming back to work, but then also make our customers safe as well, that they feel safe coming into the restaurant. So the next couple of weeks are going to be busy.
They will be, but I'm sure you'll smash it, because you often do smash most of what you do. So got all confidence in you, Lee. I wanted to, you know, we could talk about this for hours, because we could talk about pavement licenses, and we could talk about the Town and Country Planning Act, and we could talk about the other additional measures that have been brought in by the government, but that could be a whole other webinar, and I'm sure you've all got other things to do. We've been talking for 45 minutes now, but we've gone a little bit over. But I think that it's been really, really, really invaluable to hear your experiences, and I'm really grateful that you've shared everything with us, and I'm greatly appreciative of the fact that we work in an industry where people are so creative and that they push on regardless of what's happening, and they don't give up. And you know, all respect to you and the thousands of other independent food and drink businesses across the country. I am in awe of you. Thank you. So I wanted to just end the webinar with just kind of like a little bit of advice you'd like to share with people at the moment. So if someone's not sure about reopening, or they're not sure about whether they can pivot to something else, what would you say to them? James, can we go to you first?
Oh, that's not fair. Everyone else is going to have time to think of something inspirational. You can't do that to me. I think it's not so much advice to do with reopening, but I think that as human beings, we're at our very, very best when we're forced to adapt. And like Lee touched upon, you know, all these things that he wanted to implement that you're too busy to do because you're working. You know, how many of us have suppliers that I keep thinking, I bet I can get that cheaper somewhere else. I bet I can get better quality. I don't have time though. Let's just order it from the same person again and again. You know, we're selling merch. We've meant to sell merch for ages. If you want a hat, go online. So it's all things that when we're pushed to adapt, when we are with our back against the ropes, like we have been for the last 4 months. You come out with the best stuff that you can come out with. Being comfortable and complacent is the enemy to innovation and to kind of growing. And so everyone that's sitting out there that thinks this has been awful, this has been the worst 4 months of business, it's going to have made you stronger. It's never going to be hopefully it's never going to be as hard as it has been for the last 4 months. It can only get better. And so I think that's a positive that you have to take from it.
Thank you, James. Ruth, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, talk to people and not panic so much. Like I remember working through the NCAS list of reopening things because it was much clearer than government guidelines, which I found really helpful. But at the beginning, I was like, I don't know in our space how we're going to effectively do all of these things, and then actually like work through it and just do, like, you can only do the best you can with the space that you have or the tools or the resources that you have. And as long as you're keeping people safe and you're keeping your staff safe and the food that you're making is awesome, or the drinks, then people will understand that. So I think my advice would be just start trading again, even if it's not quite perfect yet.
Thank you, Ruth. Lee, what would you say?
I think just kind of look out for advice from other people. Obviously there's loads of information through NCAS, which is why we're here. But then also talk to other, we all know other traders, we all know other pubs and restaurants and coffee shops. Go in there, have a cup of coffee and see what they're doing. And I think just be truthful to yourself. And, if you've got a great product or you've got a great restaurant or a great bar and people were coming before, they're looking forward to coming back. They are, I'm sure we all have. I've had emails and messages asking when we're going to open, when we can book. So just do what you always do, and we'll all come out a lot stronger.
Thank you, Lee. And Anne-Marie, what would you like to add to that?
That's really hard, isn't it? Because they're all really, really good points.
I know. We gave you the hardest job there, didn't we?
Yeah, you have, haven't you? I think do your homework and do your figure work and your planning. So I think, we did quite a lot of time on number crunching and looking at rotas and looking at, what furlough can do for a physical bar. Obviously, that we can't do that. If you've got staff, just do your figure work. That's what I think. So know the extent of how much you can flex your business. You have to take a bold step at the end of the day. But if you've got as much information behind you to know what you're doing, I think that you're on a more solid base.
Yeah, thank you.
And join NCAS.
And join NCAS, yeah.
If you haven't already, they have got me out of there.
You did my job for me. Good. Oh, that's so kind. It's so nice to get nice feedback about what we've all been doing. And obviously, we're here to support each other. So we've had a couple of questions and stuff through, but we haven't got time to go through them. But I'll have a look at them after this, and then I'll just forward them in the direction that they need to go in. And I just wanted to say thank you again. It's been really nice to get to know you all. And thank you for giving me your time on this busy afternoon. And everyone just, make sure that you are talking to each other a lot and that you're open and transparent about what you're doing and you're communicating well with your customers. And that I think that you're keeping your customers and your staff safe, and just use the resources that are here for you. And you can always pick up the phone. We're always here, and you've got good support networks between you. So thank you all again, and have a lovely afternoon. We'll sign off now. I'll still be on this broadcast, so we'll still kind of be here, but not live. But thank you everyone who's watching. If you want to know, if you need any more information about the resources that we've got, just get in touch with us. If you've got any questions, please email opinion@ncas.org.uk, and we will be back next week with another webinar. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.